The 2023 World Baseball Classic is upon us, and all of the rosters were officially announced yesterday. So we're going to go through every single team. There are 20 teams in total, 4 different pools, and 5 teams in every single pool. Without further ado, let's get into it. Also, I just want to note there are some star players that have pulled out. We have Carlos Correa and Jose Ramirez, so make sure you guys stay tuned to see who replaced them. All right, so Pool A is Chinese Taipei, the Netherlands, Cuba, Italy, and Panama. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, aside from Yu Chang, I don't really know any of the players on this list, but I did some research. The Chinese Professional Baseball League MVP, Li Lin, I believe that's how you say his name, he's on the squad, so I feel like him and outfielder Che Hsin Chen, I think that's how you say it, they could do some damage, so make sure you watch out for those guys. The Netherlands, they do have a few more notable major leaguers, and the biggest one, Xander Bogaerts. They also have Jonathan Scope, who hopefully has a better offensive performance than he did in 2022, and then there's also Chadwick Trump. Now, I do want to bring up one more player. I don't know how to say his name. It's Vladimir. It's Vladimir with the W at the beginning, Ballantine, and he holds the Japanese single season record for most home runs in a season, 60. But he does play for the Netherlands, and if I go back a few years, I think he was this guy. Yeah, that's him. So we know that Cuba is a baseball powerhouse. They have guys like Luis Robert and Yoan Moncada, although Moncada and Robert, they didn't have the best seasons last year, whether it was because of performance or injury. But I will say, Yoenis Cespedes, he's back on the team. If you guys don't remember, he's the kind of superstar that became a star that eventually became a rogue, not even in the league anymore player. Italy, this is going to be a fun team because Mike Piazza is going to be the manager of Team Italy. There are some fun players like Vinny, Italian Nightmare Pascantino, you have Nicky Lopez, you have Andre Palante or Piante, he plays for the Cardinals, and then David Fletcher. Also, I just saw this, Matt Harvey, the former Mets ace, he's on the Italian roster as well after pretty much spending all of 2022 in the minors. So Matt Harvey, playing professional baseball again, kind of. Also, if you're a Brewers fan, you know who Sal Frelick is, a pretty decent prospect with really high hit tools. Panama, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I don't really know a lot of these names aside from Christian Betancourt, Jonathan Arauz, and maybe, I think I've heard of Ruben Tejada, but aside from that, Panama, I feel like they're going to be good, but not really much to write home about. No offense. Oh, also, Jaime Barria. He was really good last year. I think he had a 2.6 ERA in about 80 innings, so I forgot to mention him. Jaime Barria was pretty good, and also they do have Justin Lawrence. Forgot to mention him. All right, moving on over to Pool B, and we are starting off hot. We have Japan. So, of course, Shohei Ohtani, he is going to be the biggest name, but we also see some guys like Seiya Suzuki, Lars Nootbaar. Yes, he is Japanese. You have Yu Darvish, who just got that brand new extension from the Padres, and then Red Sox outfielder Masataka Yoshida. Also, one more name to look at, the NPB MVP. I think his name is Munetaka Murakami. If I said that wrong, I am so sorry, but he had 56 home runs. 56 home runs last year, so look out for his name. Wow, Korea is absolutely loaded up the middle if we're talking about infield defense. They have shortstop Ha-Seong Kim and Tommy Edman. Both of those guys, I believe, were in the Gold Glove conversations just a year ago. So aside from the names that you're probably familiar with, make sure you guys pay attention to the 2022 KBO MVP. His name is Jung Ho Lee. He rakes. Now, unfortunately, Liam Hendricks, who was obviously the biggest name from Australia, he will not be in the tournament due to him having a form of cancer called non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. So other players on the squad, I don't know. I'm sorry. No disrespect to Australia, but I don't know these guys. The same kind of goes for China. I don't really know much of these guys. So if you're familiar with any of these, like I think there's an Angels prospect by the name of Alan Carter. I don't know, but he sits mid-90s. But aside from that, I don't know who else is on the team. I'm not going to lie. I would be very impressed if you guys knew more than 1 or 2 players from the Czech Republic. The only one that looks familiar to me, former big league infielder Eric Sogard. He was decent at the very least. All right, now it's time to talk about Pool C, and the first team in Pool C, Team USA. Obviously, we've talked about them in prior videos. I mean, you have Paul Goldschmidt at first base, Mike Trout is on the squad, even some of the worst players on the team, Cedric Mullins, he's still a star player, so I really like our chances. I guess the only thing is, when we're comparing Team USA to Dominican Republic, we know that Team DR has the better pitching, and that is going to be vital when you're talking about a tournament that can go 5, 6, 7 games. You need pitching, and honestly, Team DR, they win in that department over anyone else on this list. Now, again, Jose Ramirez not being on Team DR, we'll talk about his replacement in a second. I believe that Jeff McNeil is the second baseman for Team USA, and then Jose was going to play second for Team DR. And now I don't know who wins in that second baseman ranking. Is it Jeff McNeil or whoever he replaced? Team Mexico actually looks pretty solid if we're talking about pitchers as well. So they're obviously led by Julio Urias. There's also guys like Jose Urquidy, Patrick Sandoval, who is very underrated, and then also Taijuan Walker. But look at their other guys: Alejandro Kirk, Alex Verdugo, Luis Urias, Randy Arozarena. So a lot of names that you're familiar with are on Team Mexico. They look pretty good. One fun note I want to make about Team Mexico: Oliver Perez, a 41-year-old former Major League veteran. He is listed on the team's pitching pool, so he is eligible to be added later if they go on and make a run. Colombia, I would say the biggest names, you have Jose Quintana and hard-hitting Harold Ramirez. I feel like he was gonna break out, and of course he did with the Rays, because the Rays, they figure out how to make everyone break out. You have Oscar Mercado, Gio Urshela. Aside from that, I guess Jorge Alfaro and Donovan Solano, they're pretty good. I think they call Donovan Solano Donnie Barrel, so he's nice. Team Canada, their pitching isn't that crazy with Nick Pivetta, Cal Quantrill, Matt Brash. I feel like Matt Brash is nasty, but he's got to get that command in check. I will say they do have some positional players that do have some big names. Freddie Freeman, Tyler O'Neill. Hopefully he's better in the World Baseball Classic than he was in 2022. But for me, Freddie Freeman and Tyler O'Neill, those are the biggest names, and that's simply because Josh Naylor and Joey Votto, they can't play because of injuries. So Great Britain really only has one big-time name, and that's because he is the #1 prospect for the Mariners. His name is Harry Ford. He was picked 12th overall in 2021. This guy can rake. But aside from that, I guess you have guys like Trace Thompson, Vance Worley, who I forgot existed, and I don't know. That's pretty much it. And then the final pool, we have Puerto Rico starting off Pool D. They have some big-time names as well. Carlos Correa, unfortunately, because his wife is set to give birth around the time that they're going to be playing, he will not be in this tournament. But you have Edwin Diaz, you have Francisco Lindor, you have Javier Baez, and also Marcus Stroman. He is not on Team USA. He is on Team Puerto Rico for the 2023 World Baseball Classic. And also one more name I do want to throw out there, Jose Barrios. But this version of the Puerto Rico team isn't as good as past teams that we've seen, just because Correa is missing. Venezuela, yes, we finally get to see Ronald Acuna Jr. in the Baseball Classic. I cannot wait to see him hitting prodigious home runs and taking his time as he bat flips and has a world record home run trot. We also have Jose Altuve, Salvador Perez, Miguel Cabrera, other names like Luis Ariz, David Peralta, Anthony Santander. You have Eduardo Rodriguez and Pablo Lopez, and also Ranger Suarez. Venezuela, honestly, they might be the most slept on team of anyone. They look really solid. So before we talk about Team DR, I want to discuss Israel and Nicaragua. So Israel, they have Jock Peterson. I think the manager is Ian Kinsler. They also have starter from the Orioles, Dean Kramer. There's a reliever, Richard Blyer, and then Garrett Stubbs, who I believe played for the Phillies last year, or I don't know. I think he did. And then aside from Johnny Lasagna, aka Jonathan Loaizaga, and Erasmo Ramirez, I don't really know who else, if we're talking about Nicaragua, who's on this team that you guys would be familiar with. I'm not sure. And then finally, Team DR. I know that Jose Ramirez is not on the squad, but I feel like Francisco Mejia and Ketel Marte, those are some serviceable replacements along with Gene Segura. But you have big names like Willie Adames, Rafael Devers, Wander Franco, Vladimir Guerrero Jr., Teoscar Hernandez, Eloy Machado. You have J-Rod, Jeremy Pena, Juan Soto. I mean, Team DR right now, especially when you factor in their pitching, I think that they're going to be really good and they're going to be a top 2 team. But for me, I still have to give it to Team USA, especially after seeing Jose Ramirez pull out. But then again, they could just replace Jose Ramirez with Wander Franco. And honestly, that's cool as well. So let me know in the comments, who would you rather have, Jeff McNeil or Wander Franco? So those are all of the 20 teams in the 2023 WBC. Thank you all so much for watching. If you guys have any opinions that I forgot or just didn't mention, let me know in the comments. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.